Hi all, today I want to talk about the TV series GLEE and how it helped me kind of get my life back and in a way sort of save my life, and how I think something like this may help you too. I want to be super clear: if you are very depressed, if you're feeling suicidal, try not to rely on things like this solely. Please try to get in therapy if you can, speak to a doctor, speak to friends or family or anyone you feel comfortable or safe with. Do try to get help. This was just something that was an additional thing that really helped me, and also something that helped give me the right mindset to approach therapy properly. So a little bit of backstory: I have had depression since I was very young. I first got suicidal when I was about 8 years old, and since then I've always gone through phases of being suicidal. Some worse than others, some are relatively mild. It's pretty much always in the back of my head, but then when like my defenses are down or just the depression is flaring for whatever reason, it becomes much harder to deal with. And for context, whenever GLEE first came out, I was a huge musical theater fan. I still am. Musical theater really has my heart. I do perform in theater, and just Broadway is so much of my life and my happy place. It always has been since I was very little. And again, for context, when the show came out, I was in a relationship with someone who was abusive. He was especially controlling and abusive about anything with theater. He didn't want me hanging out with people in the theater. He didn't want me doing shows. He said that anyone who ever does like love scenes should never be allowed to have children because they're being terrible to their children. Like, it was really bizarre and controlling and did not work very well for me. And he literally like talked me into dropping out of acting school and everything. Like, it was a really not fun place to be in. So it was really kind of dismantling this passion of mine, and I think it was partly because it was something that helped give me a lot of strength, a lot of confidence, a lot of community, and a lot of the people I knew in theater would not be okay with the kind of stuff he was doing to me, you know what I mean? So when this show came out, I was really excited for it because it was about musical theater and misfits and finding your place and your passion in life through theater and music. And I'm like, this is great, this is made for me. And I really love campy stuff, so I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. I hadn't seen it, I was working too much, and I just did not get around to actually watching it when it first came out, which I was really upset about. And he knew it. So for Christmas that year, he got me the first season of GLEE on DVD, and he's like, I know you haven't seen this, but you're obviously gonna love it. It's gonna be great. You need to have it. He was the type of abusive person that was like, we had to do everything 24/7. We had to be in contact 24/7. Like, he always had to have his eye on me. And so because of that, we spent most of the time doing things that he wanted to do, and I would just kind of have to be like witness to. Like, I don't know how many hours of my life I spent just watching him play Grand Theft Auto without like doing anything myself, because he just wanted me there paying attention to him all the time. And he would always try to like subtly bring me down by like attacking things I love. Like, if we were in the car and a song came on the radio that he was enjoying and I was like, oh, I really like the song, he'd just turn off the radio. Stuff like that all the time. So he kind of used GLEE this way. I was trying to find a middle of the road way to get to do something I like but still involve him and not make him feel threatened or like he was being pushed out, because I knew how sensitive he was about theater and acting, and I was very scared. So I was like, hey, can you watch the pilot with me? And if you like the pilot, we'll watch the show together. If you don't like the pilot, then I'll just watch it on my own. Which he agreed to do. And you know, it's not that long of a show, and pretty much all we did was watch TV or movies or play video games. So it's like, it wouldn't have been that hard to do. But he always would put it off, obviously, because it would have made me happy, so we can't have that. And then towards the end of the relationship, like, this had been going on for like months where he was not watching the show with me, and I'm like, please, I really want to watch a show, and nothing, obviously. I had a really bad depression phase hit, probably not helped by the fact that I was with somebody who was really escalating the abuse. It was getting worse and worse and worse, but it was also just the way I'm wired. I hit a really bad phase. I was not doing well. In the middle of not doing well, he broke up with me, which was part of why I ended up being homeless for a while legally, which was not fun. It was really not great, and he was really horrible in the way he did it. Like, obviously the breakup itself was also abusive in the way he would do it, and then he would try to like continue emotionally abuse me even though I was no longer with him afterwards. So that was just, it was all not great. But anyway, I ended up in this place where I was having to stay with some friends who were very kind and let me move in with them. And I was trying really hard to kind of pull myself together, because coming out of an abusive relationship can be really hard, because they do kind of become your whole center and your whole life. And I had really tailored my identity to match whatever would set him off the least. So I had pretty much given up a lot of things I was passionate about. I quit acting, I dropped out of acting school, I barely sang anymore or did anything musical I loved. It was all pretty much gone. Like, it was kind of just whatever he loved or whatever he cared about. So I was trying to pull myself out of this place, and I was trying really hard to find therapy, find support groups, find anything I could that would help me. And it was really hard to get any motivation to do that. Like, I kept having nightmares that like horrible things are going to happen to him and it was all going to be my fault or something. Like, I just kept spiraling with this. Like, I couldn't even process things anymore. I tried to get back into acting school and I had to stop because like I was having PTSD flashbacks while I was in class, or I would get convinced he was like outside the building waiting for me to like attack me once I got outside, to punish me for acting again. Like, I was just not in a good headspace. I kept trying to get better, basically for the sake of other people in my life. Like, I had friends that were like, you can't hurt yourself because I care about you, or I'll miss you, or I'll be too sad. And that is wonderful to hear, obviously. Like, that is good. Don't, not tell somebody that you care about them. But it wasn't enough for me to like use as my motivation to get better, because I could always, with the depression, rationalize why I wasn't good enough for somebody else, why they would actually be better off without me. Like, oh, they'll be sad for a few days, but then everything will be better, which isn't true. But like, when you're that depressed, it sounds completely rational and logical. Like, it seems like it's the only time you're being clear-headed. It's really frightening. So I was in this headspace of trying to put in the work of recovering from abuse and also healing with my depression and trying to find a therapist. And therapy is hard. Like, dealing with any of this stuff is hard. Seeking help is hard. And it's extremely hard trying to find resources when you are depressed, like when you can't even get out of bed and half the time remember what day of the week it is. It's really hard to research doctors and try to figure out how to afford things and try to get a job that's going to give you insurance. Like, it's a lot to try to do. And I already had basically no energy because all my energy was going towards trying to keep the depression at bay as much as I could. So I was pretty much spiraling at this point, and I just didn't have the energy or the will or the motivation to really get better, because it just felt like, why am I putting in all this hard work to get better for the sake of other people that aren't actually going to be better off by me being here? And what do I get out of this anyway? Like, I didn't feel like I got anything out of it, because I'm like, what's the rest of my life going to be? Just constantly dealing with depression and spiraling all the time over and over again and doing this for other people. And that is where GLEE comes in. One time I was losing it. I was spending just a lot of time alone in my room. Just like, I'm a night owl, and at this point, like, I finally got a job. So I was working a retail job where, like, I may have to go into work till 2 o'clock the next day. So I would be staying up till really late at night, just like watching TV shows, rewatching Disney movies, just on Facebook trying to talk to friends or watching YouTube videos. So finally I broke down. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna finally freaking watch GLEE, because my ex wouldn't let me, basically, and I'm tired of this. And I've been kind of scared to do it, because I'm like, is this gonna make me too sad? Am I gonna miss him because like he never watched it with me or something? But I just caved and did it. Not even like 20 minutes into the pilot, I was like, I feel seen. Like, I get this. Like, Rachel Berry gets me in a way I should probably be ashamed to admit, honestly. The show was just such a great mix of inspiring but also dark at the same time. Like, it wasn't like sugarcoating things. It was very much kind of like owning the dark sides of these personalities too, and also owning just like how messed up life is in a lot of ways. I think that's part of what helped me, is it wasn't all like sunshine and roses. It was like a funny show about finding inspiration and something you're passionate about and finding community in that, but without it being like the super glossy perfect world, But honestly, as inspiring as the show is, it wasn't the content of the show that won me over. What won me over was just reconnecting with something I was passionate about, because so much of that show is well done, and the performances, especially in season 1, are just extraordinary. The music is wonderful, the dancing is wonderful, the arrangements are great, the direction is great, like the set design is fun, like everything about it is just wonderful. Like, I would get goosebumps and chills from some of the performances, and it just really captured to me the love and the passion of music and theater, and that connection a performer can have with the art itself. And it made me feel like I would feel when I would be on stage, or when I'd be auditioning, or when I'd be blasting Broadway songs in the car with my dad and bonding with him over that. Like, it just felt like everything I'd ever loved, and reconnecting and seeing that love and inspiration on the screen made me reconnect with it myself. And it almost felt like waking up. It wasn't like the show taught me a message that like made me care about myself or love me or something even. It was literally just like splashing cold water on my face and reminding me, hey, here's this thing you're really passionate about. Here's this thing that really mattered to you. And you may have not had this for a few years, but guess what? It's been waiting for you the whole time. It's been right here, just ready for you to pick it right back up. Oh, I'm gonna cry now thinking about it. It got kind of addictive, that feeling. Like I would get this, like, my friend and I, when we go see Broadway shows, we call it a theater high afterwards. Like we're both very shy, we're both really quiet, but after we see a Broadway show, we're just buzzing. Like we're talking like 90 miles an hour and jumping up and down and giddy, and we're outgoing and we're just glowing. And the show made me feel that way. It gave me that theater high. It gave me this like energetic buzz. It made me like stand up in my bed and sing along, and it made me just feel present and connected and alive. And that felt good. And that's what I keyed into. I keyed into that feeling I got when I watched a great performance on GLEE, or when I felt really seen on GLEE. And I would just click with that feeling and be like, this feeling, this is why I want to get better. This is why I want to stay alive. This is why I want to stick around. I want to get healthy enough that I can get back into acting, that I can get back into performing, that even if I never act and perform or make it in that or something, where I can still, you know, I'll always be able to pop in a Broadway CD and listen to it, or watch Tony clips on YouTube, or watch GLEE. Like it's gonna be there for me. And so that motivated me to really take my therapy seriously and to get better. And it made me realize I wanted to get better for myself, like just for a selfish reason. Like I wanted to chase that feeling that I got when watching GLEE. I wanted to find other things in life that gave me that feeling, whether or not it was performing, or I had taking voice lessons. I started taking voice lessons after that, and I got myself like a ukulele to play that. Like I would just chase anything that would give me that feeling, that like excited, like buzzing from inside, glowing, like almost too alive feeling, which is like the exact opposite of depression. Like depression feels like you just aren't, like you just don't exist, and also like everything's too much. And this feeling felt like I was almost more alive than I could bear, and also like nothing was enough. And it was just so opposite from that unhealthy headspace. And I'm like, I just started chasing it, like anything that would give me that feeling. That was a healthy thing. Obviously, I'm not saying like do anything that's gonna harm yourself or something, but it made me want to start finding things that made me feel that way. And that reminded me of what could be good about being alive, and what could be good about me, myself, and what I actually cared about that he was trying to keep me from. And that's really what the big turning point in my healing, I think, was, because at the time I could not get on insurance. I couldn't actually get into therapy, but I did find some support groups. They weren't like amazing. One was pretty good. The other one I outgrew really rapidly, but I really got a lot from them because I was going in with such a strong sense of desire to get better for myself and not to get better for other people. Because like my whole life, that was always my focus, was like, don't have a panic attack because it's going to annoy everyone around you, and don't be depressed because you're going to make other people around you feel sad, or you're going to be a burden, and don't hurt yourself because you're going to make other people feel bad. Like it was never, don't hurt yourself because you want to be alive, or don't be depressed because you want to feel things, or don't have a panic attack because you want to go out and still do things. Like it was always for the sake of other people. And that is just, for me at least, was not a good healthy headspace to be in, because it didn't make it worth putting in all that work, because like it is really exhausting. And it's also hard whenever you end up losing those people, because like what if the only people I was staying around was for, what if the only reason I'm staying around was for a particular friend, and then that friend quits talking to me for whatever reason, or they're not alive any longer, because that's happened to me. Like I wanted to have something I could count on, and I could always count on myself being there. And at this point I was like realizing how much someone could really mess with you and betray you, because my ex, when we had been friends for a while before we started dating, and while we were friends, he was wonderful. He was super gentle, super supportive, claimed to love the fact that I was an actor and that I was passionate about it. And the minute we got together, he just turned, and that really scared me, because I'm like, wow, you can not see it coming from somebody. You can think someone's this great person and it's going to just really hurt you. And if I had really, it's just, I think it's dangerous to put all your self-worth into another person, because people can let you down, people can go away. And I think it's better to find that self-worth and belonging in yourself and your own passion. So what I am suggesting is, I'm not saying GLEE itself is going to do this for everybody. Obviously, like, it depends on you and what you care about. But if you're having a hard time trying to find the motivation to get healthier and to take care of yourself the way you deserve, I really suggest trying out a lot of things that you may have loved in the past. Like, think back to like when you were, anytime you can remember, like being happy, or like anything that made you happy at all. If it's like watching snowboarding competitions, or playing video games, or reading fantasy novels, or cooking, like anything at all, I really recommend, even if it has to be something passive, like, because depression can take so much energy, like just watching a TV show. If you know your passion was baking before and you think you were really interested in baking, or baking is always something you wanted to try but you couldn't, you know, just watch the Great British Baking Show and really focus on that, and let that kind of like trigger that almost addictive feeling of wanting to go after that thing you love. And I really think it's a good idea to kind of try out a bunch of different things and see if anything clicks, because to me, I didn't expect this. I did not put on the show and think that, oh, guess what? This is going to wake you up and reconnect you with everything you love in the world. I did not see that coming. I just was like, you know what? I'm really annoying. He never let me watch a show. So I'm going to finally just watch it, because he doesn't get to control me anymore, because he's not in my life anymore, so I might as well get something I want. But it really surprised me. So, you know, if there's something that you have, like even the smallest spark of you while you're depressed, that gets a little like, huh, that's interesting, anything at all, I really recommend trying to dive into it as much as you can and seeing if it might trigger that waking up feeling for you, because that to me was such a huge turning point in my life. And a lot of times now when I start losing that, I just have to play a couple of songs from the pilot or watch the pilot again, and I feel like I'm right back there, remember everything I love. So that is it for this video. I hope you can find something that really speaks to you the way that GLEE spoke to me and can kind of wake you up. If you have, definitely share in the comments, let me know. We can all like brainstorm together different things that might be fun to share or recommend to other people to try. I'll be back next week with another video on mental health and another video on pop culture. Until then, be well, be happy, and try to find your passion.